Havana syndrome attacks in a nutshell. Synthesized GPS with digital phase locked loop. Made with GNSS GPS simulator generator. Havana syndrome attack solved. Is a GNSS GPS simulator generator made GPS signal W phase locked loop. This creates a mobile electromagnetic loop tethering surveillance targeting system made of microwaves, radio frequencies, and EMF. Equals Havana syndrome attacks ailments, blank, underscore, blank, Havana syndrome attacks. I'm pretty sure SolarWinds hackers, surveillance go hand in hand. Hello, my name is Anthony Arellano. I have solved how Havana syndrome attacks are made and what they are used for. My research and results are not me guessing what might cause this or guessing what machine does that. These results were found by me matching the torture, pain and ailments with things that I was 100% sure would cause them, and confirmation was made by what my family and I were and are experiencing. Like what would cause a burning sensations without leaving a mark. Electromagnetic waves. Or what would cause one person to hear a buzzing noise and have another in that same place not hear it. One person has been in a targeted area with an electromagnetic loop containing L1 1575.42 MHz made up of microwaves and radio frequencies causing microwave auditory effect hearing, and the person not hearing a thing has not been in this loop for an extended period of time. It took me almost a decade of torture-induced research to achieve the knowledge that I am about to share with you now. This can all be fact-checked and confirmed. Let's begin. I have reported this to almost all government agencies, and I don't think they want the fact that a GNSS GPS simulator generator is responsible for the aid distribution and construction of this surveillance weapon, but that is neither here nor there. I am reaching out to anyone WHO can help me and my family stop these terrorist acts being performed on US. Please, read my findings and fact-check them. My family and I have been tortured with this weapon even before it was given a name. I feel my family and I are now being tortured for what I know about Havana syndrome attacks. Let US begin. Oh, and when you do decide I am telling the truth, please send help. Local police are no help at all. Havana syndrome attacks are a remote, wireless, tethering system created with a GNSS GPS simulator which generate an electromagnetic loop which allows terrorists to stay in constant surveillance with target, which all begins with entering latitude, longitude, and radius into a GNSS GPS simulator generator, creating electromagnetic tethering, hacking system using GNSS GPS simulator generator as a targeting loop live surveillance system which produces GPS L1 1575.42 MHz carrier signal made of radio frequencies, microwaves, electromagnetic waves, which aids in it becoming a targeting, data transfer system which when joined with a phase-locked loop becomes a system which can sync and hack with wireless electronics. Target being engulfed in this signal produces Havana syndrome attacks ailments. What are these two systems, GNSS, GPS simulator generator and phase-locked loop, and what do they do? Let US begin with GNSS GPS simulator generator. This serves as a targeting system, engulfing target in a dome or field of radio frequencies, microwaves, electromagnetic waves, loop, electromagnetic carrier waves and carrier signal. Able to carry and transport data at the speed of light. This hits targeted area straight from the GNSS GPS satellite system. To understand how a GPS simulator works, it is helpful to understand some of the details of GPS signal transmissions. The GPS constellation consists of at least 24 satellites, orbiting every 12 hours, broadcasting navigation data on different frequencies. GPS is just one of several global navigation satellite systems, GNSS, in operation, or soon to be in operation. Most navigation applications today use the GPS L1 frequency at the radio frequency 1575.42 MHz. Onto this carrier frequency, satellites transmit identification information and a navigation message that contains synchronized time, the satellites' orbital data, ephemeris, and data on the expected positions of all the satellites in the constellation almanac. It is from this data that receivers can accurately calculate its distance from several satellite signals at the same time to achieve its navigation solution through trilateration. GPS simulators, also known as GPS signal generators, are radio frequency generating instruments that are capable of transmitting the same exact data as GPS satellites. However, the value of a GPS simulator is in the ability to change a wide variety of parameters right from the test bench, LIVE. This next portion can be done LIVE. Data from the satellite. Date time via the clock parameters, satellite ID PRN code, ephemeris and almanac conditions as seen by the receiver. Number of satellite signals, power level, atmospheric and antenna errors through models, multi-path conditions, position of the receiver. start position, latitude, longitude and elevation, trajectory, motion path. This all creates a live targeting system with the ability to adjust its location and intensity of saturation. This can all be bought online for a few thousand, and thanks to what the United States Air Force has posted online about differential vector phase locked loops, it will show you how to use it. Now to understand what the phase locked loop is and what it can do. In a nutshell, this can sync onto wireless electronics, sync with them and match their phase, lock on, modulate and demodulate almost any wireless data from within the phase locked loop, with no password needed. A phase locked loop or phase lock loop (PLL) is a control system that generates an output signal whose phase is related to the phase of an input signal. There are several different types. The simplest is an electronic circuit consisting of a variable frequency oscillator and a phase detector in a feedback loop. The oscillator generates a periodic signal, and the phase detector compares the phase of that signal with the phase of the input periodic signal, adjusting the oscillator to keep the phases matched. Simplest analog phase locked loop. Keeping the input and output phase in lockstep also implies keeping the input and output frequencies the same. Consequently, in addition to synchronizing signals, a phase locked loop can track an input frequency, or it can generate a frequency that is a multiple of the input frequency. These properties are used for computer clock synchronization, demodulation, and frequency synthesis. Phase locked loops are widely employed in radio, telecommunications, computers and other electronic applications. They can be used to demodulate a signal, recover a signal from a noisy communication channel, generate a stable frequency at multiples of an input frequency, frequency synthesis, or distribute precisely timed clock pulses in digital logic circuits such as microprocessors. Since a single integrated circuit can provide a complete phase locked loop building block, the technique is widely used in modern electronic devices, with output frequencies from a fraction of a hertz up to many gigahertz. These two systems become a Havana syndrome attack system which can target almost anyone, anywhere, syncs onto targeted area and wireless electronics, locks onto them within targeted diameter area, producing an electromagnetic tethering loop to receive and send data, modulate and demodulate from wireless electronics within targeted area produced by and joined with GNSS GPS simulator generator. This signal can also lock onto most any vehicle's GPS system. Now let me explain how this system works, and how side effects are produced, i.e. cricket sound, etc. One more thing, people had better be taking my findings a little more seriously, not just because they are correct, but because very soon we are going to have autonomous automobiles, driverless automobiles, on the road, and terrorists with the ability to tether and hack into these systems. This is not a joke. Havana syndrome attacks included. How Havana syndrome cricket noise is achieved. This system is made for surveillance and torture. An electromagnetic phase locked loop is sent out using GNSS simulator to set location and combine phase locked loop with GPS carrier signal L1 1575.42 MHz carrier signal made up of microwaves, radio frequencies, and electromagnetic waves acting as a tethering, hacking system. Create an electromagnetic loop to send and receive information, data. The GNSS GPS acts as an umbilical cord OR data tethering system, keeping connection to modulate and demodulate data, traveling from terrorists to targets, gathering data and performing surveillance, carrying it back again via GNSS satellite system and GNSS GPS simulator generator to terrorists at the speed of light, all within an electromagnetic wave signal which is causing the ill effects on our diplomats and other U.S. officials and my family. The electromagnetic signal loop carries radio waves. Radio waves are used for wireless transmission of sound messages, or information, for communication. The information is imposed on the electromagnetic carrier wave as amplitude modulation, AM, or as frequency modulation, FM, or in digital form, pulse modulation. This signal can travel anywhere in the world with the use of one or more of the 5 GNSS constellations. We have the 5 GNSS constellations include GPS, US, QZSS, Japan, Beidou, China, Galileo, EU, and GLONASS, Russia. This carrier signal does not go through a modem or a buffer. This signal surrounds the target directly from satellite, causing microwave and radio frequency side effects, i.e. microwave auditory effect, hearing, and electromagnetic wave side effects which can affect your body's nervous system function and cause damage to cells. Other symptoms may include nosebleeds, headaches, heart palpitations, lethargy, tinnitus. Tinnitus, pronounced teeny-tiz, or ringing in the ears, is the sensation of hearing ringing, buzzing, hissing, chirping, whistling, or other sounds. Havana syndrome attacks, cricket noise. Sleep disturbances, including insomnia, headache, depression and depressive symptoms, tiredness and fatigue, dysesthesia, a painful, often itchy sensation, lack of concentration, changes in memory, dizziness, irritability, loss of appetite and weight loss, weight gain, restlessness and anxiety, nausea, skin burning and tingling, changes in an electroencephalogram, which measures electrical activity in the brain. These are identical to Havana syndrome attack symptoms. The phase-locked loop can then sync onto wireless electronics, lock onto them and make them a part of the continuous loop, creating a tethering hacking electromagnetic loop to send and receive data. Also, the loop around the targeted area is AL1 1575.42 MHz carrier signal, that is right in the range 1500 to 1600 MHz to create a digital audio signal. Voices or any audio from within the phase-locked loop plus L1 1575.42 MHz carrier signal plus electromagnetic wave makes a digital audio surveillance system that can hear a whisper from within the phase-locked loop by dialing in the radio signal, with an SDR, software-defined radio, being produced by audio coming from within the phase-locked loop and becoming part of the radio frequencies and electromagnetic loop. Now, Havana syndrome, cricket, noise attacks. When in electromagnetic loop, the victim is engulfed with radio frequencies and microwaves. Over time, the body absorbs radio frequencies and microwaves, all contained, controlled and mobile GNSS GPS phase-locked loop, creating a phenomenon called microwave auditory effect hearing. Microwave telepathy, auditory sensations of clicking or buzzing have been reported by some workers at modern-day microwave transmitting sites that emit pulsed microwave radiation. Auditory responses to transmitted frequencies from approximately 200 MHz to at least 3 GHz have been reported. The GNSS GPS simulator carrier signal L1 1575.42 MHz is well within that range, which enables target to hear radio frequencies and electromagnetic waves from PLL. This is what occurs during this phenomenon. The temporal lobe and the cochlea expand from the heat of the radio frequencies and microwaves and absorbs them, allowing the ability to be able to hear RF microwaves and also the ability to hear electromagnetic loop waves pulsing from the digital optical phase-locked loop. In other words, upon absorption by soft tissues in the head, this launches a THERMOELASTIC wave of acoustic pressure that travels by bone conduction to the inner ear. There, it activates the cochlear receptors via the same process involved for normal hearing. When target starts to hear the pulsing of the optical phase-locked loop and sometimes voices from the L1 1575.42 MHz carrier signal, and call the police or someone WHO has not been exposed to targeted area, you look insane. The police or other people have spent no time in the optical phase-locked loop, so they do not have microwave auditory effect hearing, while the target does. Audio levels are controlled by the amount of voltage released into this system and is adjusted by the voltage control oscillation, VCO. This is part of the PLL system. This would be the cricket volume control, giving the electromagnetic field more electrical current, making it more powerful, raising the audio level, frequency, voltage. Audio decreases when less current is released. Also, by raising the VCO voltage, the better the connection for data tethering, hacking, modulation and demodulation, i.e. putting together and taking apart data. When L1 1575.42 MHz carrier signal, which is made up of radio frequency and microwaves, are joined in a digital phase-locked loop around victim, engulfing victim in microwaves, radio frequency, and electromagnetic waves. The voltage control oscillator, VCO, part of the digital optical phase-locked loop, is the floodgate and gatekeeper of power, voltage for this whole system. Havana syndrome attacks. The power increased or decreased by the voltage control oscillator, VCO, increases and decreases all parts of Havana syndrome attacks electrical current. The power increased or decreased by the voltage control oscillator, VCO, increases and decreases all parts of Havana syndrome attacks electrical current. Radio frequency, electromagnetic loop radiation, microwaves, etc. The terrorists know when they increase the VCO, they increase the power of the electromagnetic field, loop, and that increases the sound of the crickets, noise produced by electromagnetic waves field, but it also increases the pressure, the burns caused by an electromagnetic loop, and the power of the microwaves and radio frequency, thus increasing pressure and overall power of all elements from the phase-locked loop. This causing different levels of purposely caused torture. This is not a joke. My family and I are being tortured for what I know about Havana syndrome attacks, and local police can't do a thing to help us. FBI and CIA just aren't helping us. I know my torture-induced research is correct. Havana syndrome attacks. Ways to detect Havana syndrome attacks. 1. Headphones using a transceiver to turn electromagnetic waves into sound. Electromagnetic, electrical to audio. This will turn the electromagnetic field into an audio sound. Can be easily done. Havana syndrome attacks are electromagnetic loops. 2. Monitor GPS signal. This electromagnetic loop field will cause a delay on your GPS data. It is spoofing a target's GPS. 3. Thermal camera. The electromagnetic field which makes up a Havana syndrome attack produces radiation. Radiation can be picked up by a $50 thermal camera. Imagine what you guys could make with your budget. There are telltale signs you have been in a prolonged Havana syndrome attack, but I will send that later. I hope this was helpful. We still need assistance. Gravely. We have gone through things in the past 2 decades that no one should have to deal with. We have been under 24-hour surveillance, been tried to be driven crazy. I've been told, get out of here you faggot. Havana syndrome attacks for 11 years. Our previous dog Dylan lured around the corner and beat with baseball bats, broke, having his jaw broken, his legs broken and ribs broken, and they let him live, so we had to put him to sleep. Their cousin told US WHO did it. That's how we know. We have had to deal with a controlled buzzing noise that when it was cranked up to about an 8 we would throw up and almost shit ourselves. My sister has had multiple strokes. We have called the police repeatedly only to be treated like we are crazy. A whole family dealing with the same thing, all crazy. Okay. Other people have complained about what is going on in this neighborhood. So does someone want to tell me why an American family on American soil is still being tortured when we have proof? WHO, do we beg for help, because frankly we are going to die if we do not receive help soon. I solved what Havana syndrome attacks are and how they are made. I should be getting a Nobel Peace Prize instead. More torture. Please help US. When we ask for help, it's like everyone is too busy looking for something else to do instead of helping US. Like they know down deep we are telling the truth and they don't want to catch what we have.